what I say to my colleagues who will watch this and listen to this, I say to you, if you're concerned about your political survival, you should be concerned about the survival of our children. And guess what? I believe the price to be paid politically to those who refuse to act, who refuse to step forward. Because America has changed on this issue. You should all know the American people are with us. They should know. You all should know. There's a moral price to be paid for inaction. And ladies and gentlemen, the organized opposition, the same opposition that I've been involved with for 40 years of my career, and my law enforcement friends have been as well. They've thrown up question after question. Not because they're looking for answers, but because not because they're driven by facts, not because they're looking for a way forward, because they're looking for roadblocks. So every one of these chats I do on the internet, every one of these things I do on Facebook, it's amazing some of the questions that seep in. They say, all you're going to do, Biden, you and the president, you're going to deny law-abiding citizens their rights under the Second Amendment. Not true. They say assault weapons. They say assault weapons like the AR-15 are needed for self-protection and recreation. They are not. There's plenty of ways you can protect yourself and recreate without an AR-15. They say it isn't about guns. They're wrong. It is about guns. And let me say at the outset to all the press, no law-abiding citizen in the United States of America has any fear that their constitutional rights will be infringed in any way. None. Zero. Look, common sense facts are these assault weapons are unnecessary and dangerous weapons that put our law enforcement personnel at risk. You guys know a lot of departments around the country. I've been working with the police agency for 35 years. I'm going to say something outrageous. You had no better friend over the last 35 years than me. And what do I hear from y'all? I hear from one community to another. You're being outgunned. They're being outgunned. It's not just about protecting the community. It's about protecting the people who protect the community as well. Then I hear them say, well, it's about our culture. The facts are our culture's not killing 25 people a day. It's weapons with high-capacity magazines. It's criminals who get guns without going through a background check. I also get told, they say there are too many of these weapons out there already, so why do anything about putting more out? The ban will have no effect. That's certainly no argument to continue to proliferate weapons we don't think are healthy in society. For the president and me, it's a simple proposition. Tragically highlighted what happened in Newtown. We can't remain silent. We have to speak for all those voices. We have to speak for those 20 beautiful children who died 69 days ago, 12 miles from here. They can't speak for themselves. We have to speak for the voice of those 6 adults who died trying to save the children in their care that day, who can't speak for themselves. You have to speak for the 1,900 people who have died at the other end of the gun just since Sandy Hook in this country. 1,900 just since that day. They can no longer speak for themselves. Caitlin Cornett, a 20-year-old Kentucky woman, shot and killed in a college parking lot after a domestic dispute. Aiden Perea, a 4-year-old boy, probably just learning how to tie his shoes, who was caught in a drive-by shooting in Kansas City. Hydra Pendleton, 15-year-old Chicago girl, who the president and I literally watched pass the reviewing stand in front of the White House as a majorette on Inauguration Day, shot dead in a park near her school. Arnie knew of her, an honor student. A kid played in the band. The kid was both her parents were college educated. She was working like hell. She went to the park and sitting on a swing. 12 noon. Janae McFarland was gunned down just hours before her sister joined President Barack Obama for a gun safety event in Chicago. You all saw that on television. 25 people dead from gun homicides every day in this country, and it doesn't count the scores of mothers, sons, daughters, whose lives have been irrevocably altered. Folks, let me say this as clearly as I can. There are going to be a lot of voices in this debate, but I am absolutely determined, the president is absolutely determined, that the loudest voices will be for the voices of the people who lost their voice. They will be the loudest voices in this debate. We intend to speak for them. Enough is enough. We have an obligation to act. And we are taking that obligation seriously, responsibly, and we're acting expeditiously. But when the president asked me to do this, I put together a format. We met with every possible stakeholder in this debate. 229 separate groups, not individuals, groups we met with. But understanding you need help isn't the only thing. Too often insurance companies don't provide quality coverage for mental health services. We're working to change that. Through the president's leadership, we've already expanded access to mental health treatment for millions of people through the Affordable Care Act. In fact, just this week, our administration put forward a new regulation around that law that will ensure that 62 million additional Americans will get quality mental health coverage. And later this year, we'll put in place the mental health parity regulations that will expand mental health coverage to millions of people. We fought for a long, long time to get that. In 2008, it finally passed, mental health parity, that you're entitled to coverage for a mental health problem just as you surely are for a broken arm. And we also need a broad discussion in this country about mental illness. Your former Senator Chris Dodd is moving to help us on that front by going out and convincing the entertainment industry to do what they can do best. Do PSAs that are real, encouraging people to seek mental health so that it's no longer a stigma. Those of you who are served in the military recently, as my son coming back from Iraq, the military is now focused on that. They don't let you just leave Iraq or Afghanistan and come home. You go back and you're essentially you're deprogrammed for 4 days because they're taught to be tough guys and women, to be able to shoot and kill. And they have problems. They have nightmares. They have dreams. Their heads ache. They're frightened. But they're not about to say anything. Our military has figured out it's important to say to them and say, look, it's okay. Tell me. Tell me. You having bad dreams? Tell me. Are you frightened? Tell me. We got to do that. If the military figured that out, we ought to be able to figure that out. And because they're the best we have, that we ought to be able to make it clear to people the mental illness is not the stigma that it still contains. There's still a stigma, and we need to do away with it. Not just because it's fair or accurate, because it generally prevents kids from seeking treatment that could really help them. It prevents parents from seeking help for their children. And it could generally change their lives. These are the contours of our plan. These are some of the things we think we have to act on. But look, if we do all of those things, all of these things, we can't guarantee there will not be another mass shooting in America. Even if we do all those things, we cannot guarantee another mother or father won't receive that dreaded phone call. And even if we do all those things, we know we can't save every single life. But we do know this, that these things, if we do them, will make life better, safer, and significantly fewer people will fall victim, as your kids did in Newtown. Fewer children will die. Fewer futures will be stamped out. So folks, we have to act. Even if we save the life of only one child, as the president says, I have no doubt that if we take the steps proposed, we'll save many more lives. And here's the critical point. Without infringing on anyone's constitutional right under the Second Amendment. Without infringing on anyone's constitutional right. And ladies and gentlemen, this time around, if you look at the polling data, the vast majority of the American people are with us. They know we have to act, and they're prepared. It's time. So with the grace of God and the goodwill of the neighbors, we ought to get this done, because now is the time to act. Thank you very much.